One of the most popular conversations or topics in the spiritual community, oh my God, very popular, this concept of vibration. You know, and I mean, it's amazing. People come to me, I do private sessions, phone sessions, every day of every, week. And it's no offense, mind you, but people will say, I want a session. Okay, how can I help you? I want to raise my vibration. Be nicer. Bye. Glad I could help. If I could just get paid per miracle versus per minute, that would work. Because that's all you need to do is be nicer. But no. Oh, no. I've heard that you have to do this and you have to do that and, stand on one foot except on Tuesdays, then it's the other foot, and spin this direction except if you're a female, you got to spin the other direction. Back flips and way overcomplicated to raise your vibration. It doesn't work like that. And I know it's popular. Raise your vibration. Pranayama breathing, eating organic and, voting for a certain politician is all going to raise your vibration. Not if you're not a nice person. Because everything will just revert. You go and get a car tune-up. And in Sedona, you can probably do that. You could pull into a mechanic shop. Could you raise the vibration of my car? And they'll understand. In Sedona only. So they'll do the electronic and they'll do the fine-tuning of your carburetor. But you know what? If you put the wrong fuel by accident, it's going to change the vibration again. You have to change the being. So in a way, I'm talking about consciousness versus vibration, or vibration versus consciousness. So as an official title, vibration versus consciousness. All right? And I say versus because it's a contrast, I guess you could say. Raising your vibration is not the problem. What I'm saying is you cannot raise consciousness by raising your vibration. You raise your consciousness and it raises your vibration. You don't just try to vibrate more. You go on one of those old exercise things with the belt around your hips. God, I see God. Really? Then why did all those gals that bought those in the 60s not ascend? Okay, well, I'm the irreverent Michael Mirdad. Nice to meet you. But, it's not vibration. This is humans trying to find a shortcut. Let's see, you go in the store, vibrational raising, sprays or oils. There's not a problem buying those. Because if I were to buy that and it had a scent and I wear it, the scent would remind me to keep changing my consciousness. You follow what I just did there? Oh, that's right, consciousness. It's not like I can be a jerk and, sprinkle like you're putting mustard on yourself, It's like, you don't just spice it up and go, wow, my vibration, and it's not like you can just go spritz and go to a class reunion and everybody go, wow, you're vibrating so high. You're glowing light. You got to be a nicer person. It's got to become integrated. When you're still thinking it, trying it, spraying it, spritzing it, hoping it, that's one level, which is a good level. But there's a becoming it. And the becoming it, you could be filthy, living in squalor in a third world country, and there would still be this countenance about you. That's consciousness, not vibration. There's just this knowing. I am as God created me. War and conflict war all around you, famine and whatever, and there's just this knowing. Something about it. Those are the saints of God. I remember seeing this in the 80s, this footage, man, I'll never forget, but it was a flood, I think, in Mexico. And they were showing this little girl whose leg got caught under some debris. And the water was rising and rising. And people are trying to help, and they couldn't free her. And I mean, I'll never forget watching her on TV or whatever it was, blowing kisses. Goodbye. I mean, I'm like, inside, it's hard to see those things. But what I remember, the initial human, oh my God, somebody help her. But I never forgot this gorgeous little smile, this little girl. I mean, how can you do that? Consciousness. Somehow she knew she's okay. That's consciousness. So people will try to change vibration, and that is not wrong or bad. All I'm saying is seek first the consciousness heaven, right? Seek first the kingdom of heaven means seek first the consciousness of God. Your vibration's going to be fine. If you're a 20-watt bulb, we can't run 120 wattage through you. I mean, think about it. Yeah, I'm moving on up to a 120 today. I went to a seminar and they breathed on me and said, from now on, your vibration is higher. You're dim. You're a 20-watt bulb. What they should say is, we can't help you. Here's a refund. That would be integrity. When people have said, Michael, can you do a workshop, a seminar? Because this was popular in the 90s and 2000s. Reiki 1, 2, 3 and healing, whatever it is. And they were saying, can you do certain workshops of yours, like level 1, 2? I said, no. Because I can't promise somebody who takes a workshop that they're going to be more loving when they're done. Theoretically, they will be. But I cannot guarantee it. So I can't charge people for it like that. I can't certify you. Love 101. Love and kindness, level 1. Because if you're going to go home and be rude to people, I don't want you with my certificate on your wall. But they're like, oh, you could make so much money. It doesn't matter because it wouldn't feel right. So consciousness is it's what has to change. And let's be clear. Everything not only has consciousness, every cell, everything is consciousness. So people are saying, I want to raise my vibration. Really what they're saying is, I would like to, unconsciously they're saying, I would like to raise my consciousness. But why don't they just say that? Because they're afraid to raise their consciousness. That's too real. See, if people can just focus on raising vibration, they're still a step away from consciousness. So it's safer. Is that making sense? You get what I'm saying with that? I'll just work on vibration because vibration is the intellectual consciousness, the intellectual chakra. See, vibration still has to do with measured degrees. Consciousness is more like, so it's like, I still want to control this. I'll do 20-watt vibration, 120-watt vibration. I want to be able to control it. Where consciousness is surrendering. So that's how we change consciousness. It's, I don't know anything. I'm opening to the consciousness of God. I'm seeking the consciousness of God. So you'll hear people make excuses, and they sometimes are very fancy, new agey kinds of excuses and reasons to not go for the gusto. I would say to you, go for the gusto. I would like to raise my vibration a little. Why not just raise your consciousness to Christ consciousness? You think your vibration's going to be like low? How could it be? Even when you have beautiful, loving experiences, your vibration will catch up. You can't have a consciousness like this and dimness come floating through your being. Low thoughts. And if they do, you change them. When you have a thought of doubt and you're in a high consciousness, here comes a vibration of doubt. You look at it and so, what are you? Where did you come from? Oh, we're an old belief system of yours. And you're like, really? And the thing just shatters. Just like the singer who hits a note, crystal blows up, right? The crystal glass. It's the same thing. Your consciousness will tone, literally or figuratively or both, into old belief systems and they'll burst. Ancients, Lemurian, Druid, and so on, east, west, north, and south of the poles. You know, the consciousness of these ancient civilizations, they knew about toning dispersing, that it actually explodes old cellular or consciousness systems. Toning. But toning is just a vibrational version of consciousness again. If all you do is tone without consciousness, all you're doing is science. Consciousness supersedes the science and says, this is beyond measure. This is beyond, let me see, I think I'll tone this tone into that cell. It becomes something that is so perfectly guided, so perfectly aligned, always the right tone. That just like any psychic can be a psychic of themselves, or they can become a channel of something greater. So I always teach this concept of consciousness being something we go for. And I know, and you know, having taught for so many years, but even in a center like this now for 10 years, there are times when people, you hear them say, in person or around the world, oh my God, this is not a church thing. This is not a yoga thing. This is not a healing seminar. These Sundays, or whatever else I do, but let's say these Sundays, there's like, wow, I feel like mind blown. And I'm like, well, I'm glad to hear that. You should be. Any center you go to should be like, whoa. If you leave the same as when you arrived, something's wrong. And it's not just because I'm spectacular. I can be sitting on a bench in my backyard watching something, a bird, and it can unlock the secrets of the universe for me. You have to put your consciousness into a place that says, I'm ready for another level. I'm ready for another miracle. Or is it, I think I'll listen to this a little bit. You know, I wonder who's winning the game today. And, you know, that sort of mindset. The more you put into this, the more you're going to get back. This person up here, they better stand and do the work, right? This person, this is our, you could say job, then you can raise it to assignment, then you can raise it to purpose, and then you can raise it to the absolute of who the person is. More and more teachers that are standing in places like this up here, they've got to really start living this. Because human beings aren't going to tolerate so-so for much longer. You know, if I come up here and Exodus 3:1 saitheth that the Lord looked down upon man, you know, and really? You know, it's like, it's a bit, that's all we're doing still? Chapters and verses? Where's the spirit of it? You know, where's the spirit? Even in the old temples, they would unroll the scrolls, they would read from the scrolls and stick to the interpretation of the letter of the law. Jesus one time came up, unrolls the scroll, he reads from it, rolls it back up and starts firing away. He did this for them, he did this for God, this for the spirit in everybody. Oh, this is for everybody's head. You know, where you go, Matthew 3:5, and you go, oh, I read that one. And we all sit around going, oh, honey, Matthew, it's my favorite gospel. Oh, you know, I hope he reads from Luke next week. I mean, everybody sits around just talking. They just talk and they hear with their heads. Like, it's weird. Do you leave your soul at the door? You know, come in and just like, I'm ready. I'm ready for an experience. I've gone into churches before, you know, and when I had days off, occasionally a weekend off, sometimes on a weekend, I would just drive from where I live. I'd just drive to look around, you know, a church. And I'd go and sit. I'd walk in. I don't care if it was, I don't even know what they were. It could have been Lutheran or Seventh-day Adventist. Don't know. Walk in, sit down, and I would just open. And yes, I would hear, and the Lord is going to send everybody to hell as soon as possible. And they would do those kinds of lectures. And I would still hear gems. I would peel off this stuff, and I would hear something else. And I would take a piece of paper from the back of the pew or chairs in front of me, and I would scribble notes. Oh, yeah. It'd be totally different from what the person said, because God speaks to you instead of the letter of the law. So they could say, and man will be humbled in their sinfulness. And then I would write, in our humility, we're sinless. You see what happened there? That's just God. That's just God, which sounds simple, but a lot of places aren't getting that. Letter of the law. I don't shame them. I don't wrong them. Letter of the law, you know why? Because it's safer for you for now, to that person. It's just more convenient because you're sticking to it's right there. Okay, I don't have to expand my mind. That's too much. It's like, it's fine. You've done all kinds of things in your life that were far more dangerous than expanding your consciousness. So give it a shot. That's why a lot of times people that have really been through hell are often the most spiritual people, because they don't have the fears that safe people, seemingly safe people, might have. People that have walked through, the saying, spirituality, right, and versus religion. Religion is for those that fear hell, and spirituality is for those who have been there. So spirituality means I've worn it. This is great, because New Thought churches, in traditional churches, you've got couples showing up. Hi, we're here because, do you mind if I say it, honey? You want to? No? Okay. We're here because we're having some challenges. And, he's had 16 affairs. I'm just saying, 16 affairs. And I do drink a bit too much. And we're wanting somebody to save our marriage. So we thought, guilt might help. So they're at some church doing that, right? In a more New Thought kind of an experience, it's not like salvage this relationship, which will probably not work. In New Thought churches, you have people that are like, I've been married 15 times. And you know what? I can't do it. Something's not quite right. I'm open to learning and changing my being. See, they want to fix what was and is not going to work. Someone in New Thought churches are typically the spiritual people. They're like, I've been through hell already. I'm in 3 12-step groups. I do dream interpretation, and I get Reiki'd once in a while because I'm just here, whatever it takes. I don't want my past fixed. I want my past gone. You see the difference, right? I want a new life. I don't just want a past that's shinier. I want a new life. And that takes, God, it just takes such courage to say, I'm here. I'll do whatever it takes. So there are people that attend services and so on, and it's amazing. They'll go, oh, my life, oh, Michael, this was the most amazing. And a week later, they have a choice to make. Will they come back or watch again online? Oh, well, I was going to, but I met someone. I'm like, oh, you're just going to loop around hell again, Or they'll say, oh, my soaps were on or whatever. When they're going to come to a decision, life, reality. And most people will choose the standard. It might change clothes, but it's the same old, same old. They will choose something familiar to them rather than something that blew their mind. And I understand that. I'm up here teaching and I see it all the time. And I still at times feel, I'm just being honest, as a human being, I still at times feel like an apologetic vibe in me. Because there's a part of me as a teacher that goes, it's almost like saying, but God, it's a bit much for them. Should we dumb it down? And then God will say, ask them. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, would you like me to dumb this down? No, they say. And I have to get over that thing in me that said, maybe we should dumb it down. And I'm not saying that in any negative context. I'm just being honest and saying there's times when I feel that, like an apologetic vibe, partly because the more you change And the more you become a higher consciousness, you can't relate to a broken consciousness. And you will have people not like you. Why? Well, there's two main reasons. Two main reasons. One, because of the light you start to shine. But there's a worse one. The light you start to evoke in them. And that gets freaky for some. So there's a part of me that's like, Michael, maybe if we just dim it a little bit. But that's the human guy, Michael, that would like to not be hated or feared. You know? It's a drag. If you have family and they all fear because you got into the recovery program and they didn't, they feel a little weird when you show up to family reunions and they're all stoned again. And you're saying, no, thank you. First, they're annoyed by you saying no, thank you. You know, coming to our parties and, you know, you just can't blend in, can you? But it's worse is because in them, there's somebody that wants to be in the program and they're not there yet. And they're going to hate you for evoking that desire in them for something better. When you show up and say, you know, wow, how's everybody? And they go, wow, you look so happy. You look great. What have you changed in your life? I got divorced. They're all sitting there squeezing the hand of their partners because they wish they could. And I'm not saying divorce is a problem, you know, that you should get. I'm saying their happiness, whatever it is. You could say, I got married. Look, I got married and I've been with this person 10 years. It could be that bothers them. Because they could be sitting there, well, I'm married. I don't smile. It's not, I'm saying divorce is an answer, you see? It could be getting married. It's the happiness, the change that they don't want to see. And so there have been times in my life, absolutely, where I just try to steer clear of certain conversations. Because it's like, no, let's just let some people like me today or like us today, And so let's steer clear of the profound, and that's appropriate to do, by the way. Sometimes just, fly in under the radar. You don't need to show up everywhere and go, hi, I'm an ascended master, or whatever, wherever you happen to be. It's beautiful to be stealthy. I'm just saying that as a human being, even though I can speak and I know it's true, consciousness is the most important thing. I also know that there are times in my life when I have thought, just dim it down, dude. Just relax it a little bit. Don't bring it up. Don't bring that up. Somebody's going politics. Don't say anything. Don't say it's an illusion. It's going to upset them, so I don't. And I'm very tactful. I'm not talking about whether I speak or not. I'm talking about what keeps me, what could keep me from speaking. You see the difference? I'm only saying that there's a human part once in a while that says, not for the right reasons, but for reasons of humanness, that says, back it off a little bit, or don't go there a little bit. Because there's times when I go, can I just do something normal? Could I just go to the beach one day, which I don't. But if I did live near a beach, could I just go to the beach and hang out? And no, there's times when I'm so into God, it's happening. You just can't hide it away. You just smile. It's in your vibes because vibes follow consciousness. But if I were tested any particular day, if God stood before me and said, Michael, 2 buttons, dim it down, brighten it up, I have to go brighten it up. I can't even think twice about it. It's just not in me. Okay? But there are those moments when a doubt can arise, for me, for you, where you say to yourself, and the reason I'm explaining this is I'm saying, all human beings have a subtle, usually unconscious fear of becoming brighter. It's in us. I would recommend, instead of denying that it's there, I would recommend owning that it's a possibility. If you can own it's a possibility, then the sooner you become comfortable with it instead of wrestling with it. And then this too shall pass. It's a beautiful thing. I mean, even raising kids when I was younger, when I had little ones. I mean, it was the same thing. Even then, they would be like, oh, Dad, they'd get in the car and, they'd be making fun of some kid at school. And I'd go, guys, it's kind of like, oh no, not one of your mythologies or metaphors. Can't we just hate somebody? Sure, honey, you guys can hate somebody. But here's what hate does. It's just like, they're like, normal dad, please, normal dad. Give us another father. Tell us we were adopted. The poor things, It was a bit much at times for them. And then, of course, when their friends came over, that was really something. So, we are and made in the image of God's consciousness. This is what's amazing. When it says you're made in God's image, there's people that actually still think 2 eyes and a nose and ears and so on. It makes no sense. Made in the image of God means made in the consciousness of God. Not just I have one kind of like God. The perfect likeness, consciousness of God. So whatever the consciousness of God is, I am. I being any of us. I am. Wow, this is cool. So why am I sitting around trying to make my vibrations higher? All I have to really do is remember the consciousness and the vibrations will lift. That's why you can sit in a group like this, leave and feel buzzing at times. And I've seen that happen. I've heard people say, oh my God, after a service, I went over to such and such a store and there was somebody in there and they were just glowing and I saw them at the service. That's what it could be like. Just this vibe. And it can be there all the time. Again, there's moments where it feels intimidating. There are moments when it can be tempting to feel intimidating because you're just, wow. And you're just glowing. And oh my God, I've had that happen when I've gone out dancing with some friends many years ago, and people just look like, what's with that person? And there's times when it was totally like, isn't this great? And there's times when I thought, oops. And that's what I meant by those moments of personal doubt. When it was a bit so much that for a moment I went, oops, and tempted myself to dim it down for a moment. That's just the humanness. That's the humanness in all of us. And it can take all kinds of forms. One of you that's a counselor, licensed counselor locally, you came out of a session practicing what you hear here, and, you hugged your client, they hugged you, and you were like, because they were like, oh my God, this is social work type of counseling, not private practice where you can be all your own style. You're working in a group. This person came out of their office, their client was like, here, it's happening, see? Consciousness, more light in their counselor, but evoked in the other person, right? So they came out and the person was like, and they couldn't not hug the counselor. Oh my God, I've never felt. People in the office saw and they put on her file a reprimand. That's this world. Don't be happy. Don't vibrate high. And definitely don't raise consciousness. That's this world. And I'm sorry that it does that to you and me. I'm sorry that this world still wants to slap your hand when you're glowing. And they tried that on Jesus too. Stop glowing. And what did he say? Hey, if I tried to lower the vibrations here or there, the rocks would start to vibrate higher because the vibes are so high in this environment. He's saying consciousness is here. Don't you feel it? When he unrolled that scroll and read, he closed it and he started firing away with the Spirit of God. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. And they all sat around and go, oh, now I remember that. That's a good one. Oh, okay. And they just think. So he closes the scroll and he basically starts riffing or channeling. Let me explain. The kingdom of heaven is at hand means it's right here, right now. And they went, oh, I'm getting unsettled. Take it back or change it. Tell us you didn't really mean that. It's right here, right now in every one of you. The kingdom of heaven is God, and God is in consciousness. Every particle of consciousness. Just let go, and the form of the consciousness will burst, and you'll see pure light, and then that light will want to dance with the other particle of light over there, and the whole universe will just go poof into light, bliss. And they looked at each other and said, let's kill him. And that's the first record that we have, record in the Bible, of them dragging him out to stone him or throw him off a cliff. Or throw stones at him as they threw him off a cliff. And then it said he just shook himself off and walked unnoticed through them. How do you do that? Consciousness. It's like saying you're all being, this is amazing because you think that being transparent or becoming invisible is to, have a special cloak or whatever. Guys, what Jesus did right then, and in a couple of instances in the Bible, was he just did this. You're at a frequency or vibration of hate. The consciousness of hate made you vibrate to this level. I'm going to shift into who I am now and again more blatantly than others. There's times when he let it fully blow, open, and other times he kept it down so they could see him. But when he says, let it go, he turns to such light, they can't see him. They can't see him because he became invisible to them. Not invisible to anybody else that was remotely wanting their eyes open. Do you see what I mean by that? Just totally different vibe. So he passes unnoticed because they're like, just hate frequency. So by the same token, it flips the other way. A Course in Miracles, for example, tells you, you will still be in the world, but you won't notice as much the hurt and hate. Why? Because it's vibrating here, you're vibrating here, and you can't see it. And so some people are going, so someday there'll be a rapture for the Christians or an ascension for the New Agers. They all call it something different. It's the same. They're saying someday we'll be rescued from this world. And it's really, you won't see it. It's already here now. You don't have to wait till the day. You change your consciousness now, and then there's things you just won't see as much. And that one's hard for even people that long for spirituality to find, sadly. It sounds too foreign or whatever else. But that's really kind of sad. Because if you say, now wait a minute, I don't mind being a more loving person. I don't mind vibrating highly. I don't mind doing all the cool things that ohm and chant and vibrate high and so on. Don't you tell me that I have to like my ex. So that means all the chanting, ohming, vibrating, and all that you do can really only come up a certain amount. Maybe you went from 20 watts to 40. But you're thinking you're going to hit 120. It's not going to happen. And I get it. I get it. For some of us, there's just somebody who, no way, especially with some of the disgusting things that some people do on this planet. I'm not saying you're going to pretend that it didn't happen. What you're going to do is rise to a level of consciousness where you say, the divine in me was not touched by anything you did to me. The human self, sure. I had a dream that I was a human and that you were a human and your human did this to that human. It was a dream. It's a hologram. That's what this world is. But my consciousness, my divinity, it's impossible. I don't even have a body. You can't emotionally abuse me, mentally abuse me. You can't abuse me on any level. Not my divinity. So what you're doing really is saying, I'm choosing to not have what happened in the past have an effect on me now. It's a choice in consciousness. Just simply shifting. Some people will say, you simply shift your vibration, which is helpful. What I'm saying is you shift your consciousness. The vibration will catch up. Okay? So sort of moving towards a close. Consciousness, shifting consciousness, made in the image of God, means to think, feel, act more like God. That's what it means to say, I'm going to shift consciousness. I'm already made in the image of God. So the consciousness is there, but I have to remember it. I don't have to earn it. I don't have to, it's not like a weight loss program and you're hoping to change the numbers on the scale and I'm changing vibration and I'm hoping to become a 6 on my vibrational scale from on a 10 scale. I'm a 6 now, and walk around going, how you doing? I'm a 6, man. Like you're lifting weights. How you doing, man? I did 15 reps today. Oh, man, that's great. You're not coaching each other in a gym. This isn't just like numbers. That's still linear. It's consciousness. And with the consciousness comes, I'm so grateful. Not, look what I've achieved. It's, and yes, when you say it means changing your thoughts, it does, but it's really more about changing your beliefs. See, changing my thoughts means stop thinking that way. Changing my beliefs is like going, it's impossible to think that way. Like the other is a discipline still. Okay, I had a negative thought. I need to change that. I need to, erase that and go with a better thought, which is good to do. Good to do. But I'm saying there's another route, which is actually easier, but it's the one chosen less often, which is instead of, I don't want to think that, I want to think that, it becomes, that's not even possible. That's the only option. Do you see the difference? It's softer. It's the heart instead of the mind. And something, wow. And it's a day-by-day process. How would you have me see this, God? How would you have me feel today? Something happened today and I feel all unsettled. I'm going to give this to you, empty my cup, and I'm asking how you would have me see it. Refill my cup. Empty, refill, empty, refill. Constant daily process. Not an obsession, but more of a, I get to do this. Not I have to, I get to. This is really nice. It's just very nice. But humans are afraid of their light. Why would humans be afraid of their light? Because the more light you have, the closer you are to home, and there's an innate fear about going home. But also, the more light I have, the less of this world I have. Humans are addicted to this messed up world. Now you could say that's impossible. Listen, people can be addicted to rolled up tobacco. You are a holy child of God, and yet you just can't put that stick. Like, look at this all-powerful wand. It's amazing. And I'm going to quit smoking. Yeah. And it's just a paper and a leaf, and you can't let it go. Add all the other addictions, because the addictions are not the drink and the smoke. The addiction is the pain. People are addicted to being messed up. They're addicted to codependence, which is disempowering. I would be empowered if only you would be different. That's called codependence. As soon as I say someone else is my power or can give me my power back or is the blame for my lack of self-worth, that's a codependence. How about interdependence? Oh, I love interdependence. And I would be far more interdependent if it weren't for them. It's like, that's like a 12-step program for perfectionists. So it's a 24-step program. You just keep adding to the program more than's needed. It's like crazy. So instead, like, wow, don't shame the drink, the smoke, but just recognize, this is amazing. I find myself unsettled. I find myself unsettled by love. Love scares me and makes me want to run. I've had students and clients that I see run, and I know what it is. They're afraid either of what I'm doing that's light or afraid of light being evoked in themselves. Do I want to judge them for either of those? No, I just should feel compassion. Because how sad, right? How sad that anybody should be afraid of feeling good. But it isn't just the feeling good. It's an addiction to feeling bad. People have it. People have it left and right, up and down, all around this planet. There are countries that wouldn't know what it's like to not have war or conflict. There are humans that wouldn't know what to do with a functional partner. Right? Why aren't more people in a 12-step program? Because that might change you. And you could go, well, because I don't want to give up my habit, my addiction or whatever. You think it's the addiction you don't want to let go of. It's the opposite. The stuff the addiction is hiding that you're addicted to. The cigarette, the drink, those are the symptoms, actually. We think that's the problem. Those are just the symptoms. When you remove a drug of any kind, any stimulant, sedative, when you remove that, you're going to start seeing what the real stuff's about. When you start getting antsy and shaky and nervous, see, the other stuff, the real stuff's starting to surface. The other, nothing. Tip of the iceberg. Go deeper and deeper and you realize, oh my God. Above the surface, the iceberg looks like that. Below the surface, it's this entire mass. Oh my God, all of my insecurities. And then where did those come from? And bigger a bit. So people are like, you know what, never mind, give me back my cigarette. It's so much easier to keep that inconvenient. I know it's an addiction, a little inconvenient. My drinking is causing my family to leave. Oh, that's terrible. No. What's terrible is this. Them leaving you is still a symptom. I'm not saying that's, to minimize that. That's painful and horrible. But more people than not will allow that to happen than look at themselves. They would rather let family members say goodbye to them, lose their children, their wives, their husbands, rather than look at themselves. There are far more people walking around out there, with an escape from jail kind of card, living their lives as though everything's fine. And it isn't. Then there are people that got in the program. And thank God a lot of people get in the program. Okay? So it's like, wow. People just living in fear. It's consciousness, not vibration. That's not to say one is good, one's evil, not at all. I'm saying that one will change the other more than the other will change this one. Keep changing the consciousness. Keep accepting your goodness. I am as God created me. I am the Christ on earth. It's not something you have to say going into a 7-Eleven. Hi, I'm going to fill up my car. Okay, could I have a card? You won't need that because I am as God created me. I am the Christ on earth. I don't use credit cards anymore. You're just going to run out of gas. It's not going to work. It's not. It doesn't work in any, generally in any circle because people don't know what you mean. But it's kind of cool when you know it's true. You can still walk around with a smile without saying such and such. Where people used to say, hey, what sign are you? Little pickup lines. Well, technically, I am as God created me. I am the Christ on earth. You're not getting any dates from that. It's just, people are going to be like, oh, never mind. It's not really a really easy functioning statement to use in this world. But I would tell you to know it. I feel so amazing. Just knowing the goodness, Oh, and here comes a problem, and here comes a bill, and here comes an argument. Well, but I want to get used to centering and saying, God, how would you have me see this? And when a voice comes up, we're going for test tomorrow. I just know, oh God, they're going to come back terrible. You know what? Take an inventory of how many times you had a negative thought and how many times they came true. You're horrible at this. Your accuracy level of predicting your life is horrible. Not even 10% accuracy. People actually live their lives with a 10% odds in their favor that things are going to go badly. You don't want to go to Vegas with a 10% chance of winning, but people do because they're addicted to being miserable and broke. All right? So think about this. Those are terrible odds. You keep predicting I just know the tests are going to come back bad. How come when they don't, you don't say, I was mistaken. Let me start getting used to trusting God. Right? Oh, my friends are dancing. Oh, I'm afraid to dance. I just know I'll twist an ankle. You keep putting it out there and you might be right once in a while. And then you know what you'll do? I knew it. I should never do anything. But why don't you do that with all the times you were mistaken? I get it. Instead of I knew it, I get it. When it comes to hating myself, I'm almost always wrong. if not always. When I keep thinking, predicting bad things are going to happen, I just know something. It almost never goes that way. Okay, oh, my rear view mirror, oh, police lights. Oh, geez, I just know. My license is probably expired. They're going to just, beat me up and I'm going to be in jail by the end of the day. I just know it. You're mistaken. It's unlikely. And let me just add one last thing. That's also narcissistic. To think your life can be as bad as you think it's going to be is narcissism. You actually think the universe is glowing with light going, we got to find someone who's really spectacular and pick on them today. It's not going to happen. Trust in the good. Be addicted, if anything, to good. Be addicted to consciousness, God's consciousness, and dance and be thankful. This is really great. At the end of every day, give thanks for all the times you were wrong about yourself. God, I looked in the mirror today and oh God, I just feel terrible. But yet when I was out, somebody said, you look great. I was wrong to obsess on one more wrinkle or one more. Just stop. Just catch yourself sooner and laugh at yourself. Thank God I'm always wrong when it comes to negative thoughts about myself. Even if you judge other people, right? Judge other people about the way they look. Someone likes them. You must be wrong. Oh, they're not attractive at all. I don't know. Somebody likes them. Every creature has a mate, potentially. And some of them look really odd. Like those microscopic views of a bug. It's all like odd looking, You're not like, ooh, wow. I hadn't noticed that ants close up were kind of, It doesn't do it for you, but some other creature likes them. So I'm wrong about everything. I believe we're separate from God. I'm mistaken. I think we're separate from each other. I'm mistaken. I think that there's at least 5 major color races. I'm mistaken. I think that someone has a higher IQ than me. I'm mistaken. None of it is true. Other than God is, I am, we are. That's it. How do I get back to that holiness? That's a choice. And it's 2 parts. I must not choose the other that's contradicting the light and then choose the light. No, yes. No, yes. Every day. Please take a few centering breaths. Just quietly tune in to this following sentence or two, and then we'll let that take us into a deeper meditation. First, still the mind. Just calm. As I'm breathing in, I hear the words, I am. At the exhale, relaxed. Nice and slow, so that we're centering in more and more. Soak this idea in that when people see our light, they will sometimes be intimidated by our light. They will also sometimes be intimidated by the light you evoke in them. Just scan through your mind gently and see if there's any time you've seen that happen. Don't judge them as lesser than you. Just an objective view of, have I ever seen someone that might have gotten irritable based on my center? By my not becoming caught up in the irritations, the fears. And or times when you might actually have been able to see, not from an arrogant place, to see that you evoked light in others and that bothered them when their own light started rising. And you started seeing, they started trusting you more and they got scared because you were in goodness. Either of those two or both. Let yourself come up with an example if you can. And then visualize applying this if you didn't already in your real life experience. Just imagine this. The cure for this situation, when the person was getting irritable based on your light or you're evoking light in them. Picture this. You stand unwaveringly in your light. And you don't try to shine so bright that it has to burn them or irritate them. You just center in your light, and here's the real psychological trick. That when their light starts rising up and they start coming out, nobody shames them. Nobody judges them, nobody wrongs them. Because that's the trick of why people ultimately don't want to own their light. They're thinking that if they start to shine, the shine of your light or theirs is going to expose darkness in them. And you have to be the one that says, not today. I find no flaw in you. Picture that happening for a moment. That is what's magical. When a person exposes their soul, trusting you or themselves, and there's nothing there to judge them. We show them there's nothing to be afraid of. Love, compassion, forgiveness, that's being as God. Love, compassion, you just hold that presence. They can still squirm. They can still have doubts and fears. Just unwaveringly, I love you. It's okay. How dare you expose my light? Some of them will act that way. I'm sorry if that hurt a little, but it'll be okay. Because you're holy. Have that beautiful spiritual mastery that you hold healer presence for them. And then you're fulfilling the role of the Holy Spirit inside your own being. You're being as God is. Give thanks. And one last thing. Anytime that others shined light for you and it intimidated you, either their light or the light in you that they started evoking, be honest and see if there's ever been a time when you felt that way. And remind yourself, there was never anything to fear. I'm made in God's image, and that's good. We give thanks for any insights from this experience, whether it's the talk or the meditation. We give heartfelt thanks. This magical, profound experience that we're having through this global ministry that we're all sharing. I'm giving thanks for once or 100 or 1,000 times that I've sat in on this. I'm so grateful that I've manifested something that is such light. And if this isn't it, then find something that is right light for you and commit to it. Don't be afraid. There's no need to be afraid. Because God is good. And so it is. Thank you. The light of God surrounds us.
We are the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
We are the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
We are the power of God.
And the presence of God watches over us.
We are the presence of God.
Wherever we are,
God
God is, I am, we are, and so it is. So breathe that in, take it with you now and always. God bless. We'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.